In a small, bright, and beautiful village named Olum, near the very bustling and busy city of Onitsha, in the eastern part of Nigeria, there lived Mr. and Mrs. Onua Okoche. Mr. and Mrs. Onua had two beautiful daughters named Nkechi and Buchi. Nkechi was the eldest daughter and was 5 years old, while Buchi was the youngest and was 3 years old. When Nkechi was born, she was very beautiful and had beautiful hairs on her body. But as she grew older, the hair grew more and it was so visible for people to see. At first, her parents found it very beautiful and fascinating that Nkechi was hairy, but as time went by, she became a teenager. The once beautiful and fascinating hair soon turned to a thing of shame because people started calling her Nkechi the bush girl. They likened Nkechi's hair to a bush hair and a grass growing in the forest, as they thought it was too much for a person to have, especially as she was a girl. Nkechi did not have it easy at school because her fellow students and classmates always bullied her, calling her all sorts of names because of her hair. One day, as she walked past in the school, one student said, "Bush baby is coming, everyone run oh!" All the students looked at Nkechi and busted out laughing. Nkechi, who was very much aware that her nickname was Bush Girl, was really shocked to hear that she was now called a Bush Baby, which connotes an evil child in the village. Nkechi felt very sad and simply bowed her head down and walked past the students, laughing at her loudly. When Nkechi got home, she narrated her ordeal to her mother, who told her that she was not a bush baby and that she was simply beautiful and unique. "My daughter, you see, you did not create yourself, and God created everyone differently, so you must not have to be like every other person." Inasmuch as Nkechi's mother encouraged her, she was also disturbed by the way the hair grew so much on Nkechi's body. Nkechi was the very opposite of her sister Buchi. Buchi did not have obvious hair all over her body like Nkechi, and to crown it all up, she had long, beautiful afro hair to complement her beauty. Most times, when at school, Nkechi made sure not to come outside her classroom to avoid being mocked by her fellow students. So, when other students are on break, Nkechi will use the opportunity to read what has been taught in class already, which became a habit for Nkechi because she had no friends to play with, and truly no one wanted to be friends with Nkechi the bush baby. When Nkechi turned 18 years old, her hair grew more and more, that Nkechi grew beards, that is mustache, like that of a man. This became a breaking point for Nkechi, as whenever she looked at the mirror, she felt she was looking at a man and not a young lady. "Why do I look so manly? Why the mustache? But I am not a man. Oh, I wish I can be like other beautiful ladies with smooth face and clean skin," Nkechi thought to herself. So, in order to get rid of the hair, Nkechi bought a shaving stick and shaved out all the hair. At first, she was happy with herself because she felt like the lady in her was finally coming out. But it only took 3 days as the hair grew back, this time around, more than it was before. Nkechi was not happy. Why will this hair grow back so quickly and worse? She questioned herself angrily as she took a shaving stick and repeated the same process and barbed her hair again. But the more Nkechi shaved off her hair, the hair grew back more longer, thicker, and fuller. And so, Nkechi decided to leave the hair the way it was because all her efforts to get rid of it became fruitless. The mockery became worse for Nkechi as all the villagers would laugh at her and call her a man. Each time Nkechi went to the market to get things, whenever she tried to bargain price like other people, the seller would insult life out of her. Wicked girl, man, if you know you cannot pay for the price I am giving you, you better leave my shop because I don't want bad luck. Oh, this one that you are a woman and you look like a man. People with hair, they are very wicked people. In fact, leave my shop if you don't want to buy. Nkechi would have to either pay at a very high price or not buy at all. So because of the way she was being treated at the market, Nkechi gradually stopped going. Nkechi's sister Buchi in no time soon had a lot of suitors who were wishing and willing to marry her. In fact, though Buchi was younger and inexperienced, men were more willing to go for Buchi because they felt she was more beautiful than Nkechi. Buchi did not choose any of the suitors, but when she finally was ready to settle to marry, she married Anayo, the most eligible bachelor who had just come from the city. After their wedding, Buchi joined her husband Anayo in the city. After the marriage of Buchi, it became hell for Nkechi as her parents would constantly remind her of the fact that her younger sister was married and in the city living with her husband. Nkechi's mother was very unstable with her words. Sometimes she would encourage Nkechi, but other times she would compare her to her younger sister Buchi. Nkechi, so no man has even come for your hand in marriage. But see your sister, she had a lot of suitors. She was even the one that was making shakara before she eventually chose Anayo and moved with him to the city. Anyways, I don't even blame the men. Which man would want to marry another man? Nkechi's mother added. Those words broke Nkechi's heart into pieces because other people mocked her on a regular basis, but hearing those words from her mother shattered her. Soon, Nkechi found it as a habit to always lock up herself in the room. She would cry and cry, wondering what she had done wrong to look the way she was. Nkechi would most times cry herself to sleep. But in her down times, the things that kept Nkechi up was reading books and reading novels. Those were her escape routes from the world of shame and mockery. She had a lot of books in her room. She would always read them, reread the ones that fascinated her the most. In fact, she would most times see herself in some of the characters she had read in her books. Nkechi no longer found it interesting to be outdoor, but rather indoors with her books. She was at least happy that people did not get to see her to laugh at her. Time went by so quickly as most of Nkechi's classmates were already married and bearing children in their husband's house. One day, as Nkechi went out to take a stroll after staying indoors for a long time, she met one of her secondary school classmates who was already married with 3 children. That was when It dawned on her that she was growing older by the day. This time around, Nkechi started to get anxious to get married, but then again, no suitor was coming her way, as the few men she had liked would either not notice her or simply laugh at her even when she tried to start up a conversation. And so, in no time, Nkechi fell into depression as she felt unwanted and unloved. The thought of people regularly calling her a man beclouded her mind, and soon she turned it to her reality. Who would want to marry a man? She thought to herself. Nkechi was in a very dark moment of her life. Days, weeks, months, years went by so quickly. In those dark moments, Nkechi started to write a lot, just like she had read in most of the books. She started writing down beautiful stories about Africa, turning letters into syllables and words put together to form beautiful pieces of literature. Soon, her beautiful write-up began transforming her mind, and in no time, she started to see how beautiful she was. I am different. I am beautiful. I am not like others, she thought to herself. Soon, those muted words, she turned them into whispers, and then she looked at the front of the mirror and would say out loudly, I am beautiful. I am different. I am unique. I am not like others. She would affirm loudly in front of the mirror. Nkechi soon became happy, and it started to reflect and radiate from her inner self to the outside. This time, whenever she passed by people, they would wonder why she was so happy, unlike the way she normally would be. She would normally look sad and sober, but her coming out this time around looked so different. One day, as she walked down the street, a car pulled over. The driver in the car asked, Hello, please, can you show me the way to the king's palace? Nkechi tried describing the palace to the man, but it was obvious that the man wasn't getting the description. So, she'd offered to join him in the car to show him the way. On their way, Nkechi and the man slightly started having a conversation, and the man informed Nkechi that his reason for coming to the village and to the palace is to get a land, that he was a manager to a publishing company in the city. The company was planning to establish a printing and a publishing company in the village. It struck a chord for Nkechi as the word printing and publishing reminded her of all of her manuscripts she had written with her hands piled up in her room. When they got to the palace, Nkechi highlighted from the car, pointing the palace to the man. But sir, are you still around? How can I meet you again? Nkechi said, smiling. Sure you can. They fixed a meeting point. When the man, Obiora, was done with his meeting at the palace, he met up with Nkechi. He was surprised to see Nkechi with a box filled with lots of handwritten books. What are these for? Mr. Obiora asked curiously. Sir, please, these are my works. I write stories about Africa. I write beautiful stories. I don't know how your company can be of help to me. I really need to print and publish these books. Obiora looked amazed as he took up the books and read some of the stories. Nkechi, you want to tell me that you wrote this book? Wow, wow, you write so beautifully. Your works are so amazing. I need to show this to my boss. Mr. Obiora took the manuscripts of Nkechi's stories to the city. Getting to the city, he showed the management of his publishing company. At the board meeting, they were all astonished as to how a girl from a village wrote so well, imprinting every word with a picture in the mind. This is it! This is it! This is it! The boss screamed. Get it to work. We need to sign a contract with her immediately, he exclaimed. Nkechi was outside her house when Mr. Obiora alighted from a convoy parked in front of the house. People wondered the caliber of person the people in the convoy were coming to see. Maybe Chief Okoro, the richest man in the village, or probably the king. But they were all shocked when the convoy parked in front of Nkechi's house. Nkechi, who was outside already, was surprised to see Mr. Obiora and in company of others. Good afternoon, sir, she said. Mr. Obiora detailed Nkechi with the information and told her she needed to sign a contract. Nkechi read the contract thoroughly and signed. Nkechi's books were published and in no time gained ground all across the world as one of her books became a bestseller. Nkechi became wealthy and a famous writer. Soon, everyone started to see the beauty in her, which started radiating from within. Nkechi started having lots of men interested in her for a romantic relationship. But then, the choice was hers to make. Thank you for watching. You are beautiful the way you are. You have to first see yourself as beautiful before others can see. God created man in his image and likeness, and you are the image of God. Tell me the moral lessons you've learned from this story in the comment section, and tell me where you're watching this from. Like this video, please subscribe to the channel, please, and share this video to your loved ones. Thank you. Until I come your way again, for now, from me, it is bye.